Today we got a doozy, a really cool report with tons of rich data that tells us a lot of data. We're going to add some perspective to that data about what's happening in Jacksonville downtown. That should get everybody that's a real estate investor in Jacksonville excited. It should get people that are real estate investors that aren't investing in Jacksonville jealous.
Ooh.
And we're going to uncover some stuff, right? Because GC's got
I think
some
you're
inside
excited.
info. I'm excited.
Yeah, I can tell.
I'm excited.
Let's go, baby.
I'm excited. Welcome, everybody, to the weekly edition of the Not Your Average Investor Show. I'm your host, Pablo Gonzalez, today in studio with my main man that I like to call GC because he's got the genius concepts, knows how to generate cash flow, is a great co-host, and because his name is Gregg Cohen. Say hello, Gregg.
Hello, everybody. Fantastic to be with you.
All right, GC, we ready to start the show now?
Let's do it, baby.
Let's do it. So, Downtown Vision publishes a report yearly? Every other year?
Yeah, it's between every 1 to 2 years. It's about 18 months is what this report spans.
This thing is thick. It is 40 pages of data, of trends that are happening in downtown. Can you explain to the readers who the Downtown Vision is and why they exist, GC?
Yes, Downtown Vision is an organization there to promote the well-being of downtown Jacksonville. And it's funded through self-assessment from the commercial business owners in downtown. We have a number of groups that are advocates for downtown, and this is one group that is absolutely critical. And one of the things that they are most known for is really tracking and measuring and compiling the data to match along with the story to show our growth as a downtown. And they have been doing this for 20-something years. And I didn't really have an appreciation for this State of Downtown report, which we're going to go into today. I just assumed every downtown did something like this. But as I have been trying to track and measure and compare our growth to other downtowns, I find out that's not the case because it is really hard to get all this data together and to do it consistently. So I love our friends over at Downtown Vision, and this State of Downtown report, it's kind of like a holiday for me whenever it comes out. I love it. I read it. And then, today we get to kind of relate it to you and help you see what's really going on here, which would be a great springboard for Summit.
Yeah, Gregg's favorite days of the year are the Super Bowl, Thanksgiving, the Excel World Cup in Vegas, and the publishing of the State of Downtown report. I just shared a screenshot of that. I just shared the link to it in the chat for you to download. But today's, Gregg and I have poured over this thing. We've had our AI agents pour over this thing. And I've just got a couple of things that I want to bring up. We're gonna just talk about some of these statistics. I'm gonna read some of this. GC and I are gonna just kind of talk about it, what it means to investors. First is what we led the story of the show with today, right? Downtown population has reached a critical capacity. It is officially on like the part of the snowball where it's like rolling down the hill and you're not gonna be able to stop this thing. The demand is real, it's not speculative. Downtown now has 8,941 residents. That's nearly tripled in the last 10 years. 1,766 residential units were delivered in just the last 5 years, and the population is now approaching what, GC?
10,000, baby.
10,000. That's the resident threshold. That is a well-known tipping point for sustained urban demand. 67.8% of residents rent and 61.4% earn over $80,000 per year, signaling strong, durable renter demand with income that supports rising rents. GC, what do you think of that read?
I think you did a great job reading. Much better than, telling us how to pronounce some of the names in the chat. So good job.
I got my strengths and I got my weaknesses.
No, there's so many exciting things that you just shared there. I want to dive in a little bit there. Why don't we just first dive in with the resident population there? Guys, I have been preaching this and just shouting it from the rooftops for really probably about 3 years now about how important it is for downtown resident populations to grow, for your downtown to become a thriving economic engine for you. And in downtown Jacksonville, it has been something that, has been hard to get off the ground prior to 10 years ago. I've been living here for almost 20 years, and we didn't even talk about downtown resident population for the first 10 years I lived here because it was always around 3,500 or 4,000 people living here. And, now we have 1.8 million people in our MSA here in our metropolitan.
1.8.
We have 1.8 million people living in Jacksonville and the surrounding areas. So
it's like when I moved here, it was like 1.2.
Exactly. It's been growing, right? It's been growing. So it is really important for us to create an environment where people love to live downtown, because when that happens, good things happen for us as a community, quality of life, jobs, economics, right? Median incomes go up. And as investors who own single family rental properties around downtown, rents go up and home prices go up and people can afford it. And so it is so critical. So to see that we are nowhere near 3,500 people living downtown now, and we are just about to cross the 10,000 resident threshold, likely will be the next report that comes out here, is super exciting. And maybe something just as exciting, maybe more exciting, which project is probably going to tip us over the scales?
Pearl District?
Pearl Square, baby.
Pearl Square.
Yeah. So the Pearl Square project, which all of you will get a firsthand view who are coming to Summit. That is the project that JWB stood up, bought all the land, raised all the money, installed Brian Mull and Gateway JAX,
CEO for
and put it all together. So that is likely going to be the project that is going to tip us over 10,000.
It's so easy for me to get excited about this. Like if I look at this chart, right, and I see this kind of like trend, your boy Pablo showed up right around here, right? Mid 2018 when it really, really started going up. And yet, the ghosts of the past continue to be, like they were still around. Like it was easy for me to see it, but the idea that Jacksonville for a long time, people thought of downtown as a city of renderings and things, like it was all a bunch of empty promises. Well, pretty clear that over the last 10 years, these promises have been kept, that this thing is like really a rising curve here of units, residents following, and really, really cool for the downtown vision report to solidify. Right?
Let's spend a little time there just for a second, because I think it's really clear when you look at the data and when you have perspective and when you're in a bubble like this, it's really clear. But I'm curious what you think when you talk to others, and your neighbors, your friends, your family outside of this bubble. Do you think it's really clear for the everyday Jacksonvillian?
No, it's not really clear for the everyday Jacksonvillian. Like you have to either be watching the Not Your Average Investor show or like really following the Jacksonville Business Journal, or for whatever reason you work downtown and like, stuff is just moving and happening and whatever, right? Like, but like our community out by the beaches, we've got a group of friends that are real estate investors. Those guys know. Yeah. They watch the show. Shout out to Vlad. My UF buddies that I just knew before we were in real estate, those guys are just like, whatever. Yeah. It doesn't touch their life as much.
It's, sometimes the hardest thing to see is when you're the closest to it, because you have baggage, right? We have a lot of baggage as Jacksonvillians. We've had, decades where our downtown really has not performed up to its potential. So we carry that baggage, and it's also the opportunity that we have here with the insight and the knowledge and the access to people who are really spending a lot of money and making key decisions downtown, that we see it, but it'll be interesting, I would say when I talk to my friends and my family who are not in our bubble here, it's gone from like a pessimism of downtown to like a curiosity, maybe. They're not bought in yet, but maybe oh, you know what? I did hear something cool was happening. Tell me more about that. It's like a curiosity.
Yeah, curiosity is real. Like curiosity is real. I don't know how to isolate the curiosity based on like the insider info that I come from having the show. Right. Like I'm good at sparking that curiosity. Right. But like, yes, I feel like people, it's almost like the non-obvious obvious, right? Like it might not be obvious to them, but the moment that you bring it up, they're like, oh, yeah, it checks out. It checks out, right? So that momentum is there. All right, so this is speaking of momentum, let's talk about investment in downtown. Billions in active investment, creating this like long-term growth, long-term support. Since January 2024 alone, $2.84 billion in projects have been completed or under construction, and the total downtown development pipeline exceeds $6.5 billion, spanning residential, healthcare, education, infrastructure, parks, and entertainment. I feel like you talk about this like pipeline often, right?
Sometimes when we talk in terms of billions, our eyes glass over and it just kind of goes over. But guys, I have done the research. You guys know I go to a lot of successful downtowns. It's kind of like the thing I do on spring break with my family. I don't know if they've caught on yet, but And so I go to all these downtowns and I look for other downtowns that have billions of dollars of construction and development happening. I've only found one. I've only found one. It was Washington, D.C., and it had $1 billion of construction happening. So little old Jacksonville, Jacksonville that not everybody is aware of, has $6.5 billion in the pipeline. And here you can see how it's broken down. We had $375 million completed since 2024. 2.5 billion under construction, another 2.5 billion proposed, and over $1 billion in review, which is a significant stage going from proposed to in review, and then it will likely become in construction. So the pipeline here is so strong, and compared to other very successful downtowns, it is extremely strong. And I haven't found anything close to comparing it.
Man, I remember the aughts, right? Like the early 2000s, downtown Miami. And then I remember the like 2012 downtown Miami's, right? Like when Miami really just became like I remember hearing that Miami was going to be like the densest population south of Manhattan, the United States, and what it looked like. Right. It looks like a bunch of cranes. It looks like a downtown that is just like, oh, something's happening here and something happens here, and there's a silt fence over here, and now they're cordoning off this sidewalk here. And it feels a lot like I was just telling a buddy of mine. I was like, man, I feel like we're in like 2000 and I don't want this to like correlate with the financial disaster, but like 2005, 2006 Miami, like the level of development that was happening in downtown and kind of like the momentum around the downtown and all that stuff. And we all know what's happened in Miami, right? It's become like a super expensive place. Like real estate has shot up, world-class institutions. So like for me, the pattern recognition of seeing this and having lived another kind of major city that was doing it. I remember having somebody flying from Spain and be like, man, I've only seen this many cranes in Dubai.
Really?
Right. And that's what you're starting to see in the skyline, right? The skyline is starting to see all these different projects. Cranes are becoming a part of the skyline. And as that happens, that is the inevitable kind of like density that's going to get built, the urbanization that's going to happen, that's going to attract people and it's going to attract real estate and all that type of stuff. GC, when I first brought up this like $6.5 billion number, you put a little bit of like, you put some perspective on that, right?
Yeah, I tend to focus more on the amount of dollars that are under construction and in review, because under construction means that cranes are there, dirt is moving, dollars are actually being spent. In review is a step right before that. So, I would pair this. What I would really focus on for Jacksonville is pairing that from $6.5 billion down to $4 billion, which is still way more than anywhere else I've felt.
Still a ton.
And the reason is because in the proposed section, which is $2.5 billion, sometimes, let me know if you've ever heard of this, a developer comes out, puts a big plan together, and it doesn't go through, right? So that's where that section can, go up or down a little bit as far as the proposed section. So I tend to focus on under construction and review, which is $4 billion. But either way, $4 billion, $6.5 billion, things are moving. And I think this has been if you go back 3 years ago till now, I knew and we knew where this was going, but we didn't have any cranes or dirt moving to show for it at that time. Yeah. Now, when you are the average person walking through the streets of downtown Jacksonville, you see things and it is impossible to miss. So it has taken a leap from like theoretical or strategic vision to like here on the ground. I feel it. Sometimes I complain because my parking or my, traffic patterns are affected, and that is a natural part of the growth and something that, we're excited to get to that phase.
Yeah. And, in this report, they highlight these different residential projects, Pearl Square, shining front and center, the stuff happening around the river's edge here and One Riverside Avenue, all that's highlighted. For me, the thing that I found really, really interesting, if I was to say two projects that I found most interesting in this report, is what I like to call the EDs and MEDs.
You do love the EDs and MEDs.
I do love the EDs and MEDs, right? So number one is the $300 million University of Florida graduate campus that's officially coming to the La Villa neighborhood. I know that we've talked about the AI program at UF, but this is the way that they described it is that the campus is going to host the Florida Semiconductor Institute and offer degrees in AI, engineering, and cybersecurity, enrolling up to 1,000 graduate students. The word semiconductor blew my mind.
I just love the tone of your voice as you were reading that. Like, it was like the greatest thing in your mind I could tell from your tone.
Dude, when I think about the idea that we might start World War III because of needing to protect the semiconductors in Taiwan, and I think that semiconductors are coming to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like a massive, like I had never really correlated the word semiconductor and the value of the word semiconductor with, like a gravitational center in downtown Jacksonville. I think that that's massive.
Yep.
And we've talked a lot about that UF campus, right? I don't know if you want to expand.
I think about like how big the Jacksonville Jaguars have been to Jacksonville from an economic perspective. I mean, it literally put Jacksonville on the map. We are so thankful that we have an NFL franchise and the type of leadership we have with the Jags. And I look at the University of Florida coming to downtown Jacksonville as that type of catalytic event here. If you think about what do you need for I went to Austin, and I looked at and I asked people on the ground there, what was the best thing that happened to Austin? And they talked about how it was UT, University of Texas at Austin. And they talked about how once it became cool to be in Austin and we had brain gain and all those smart folks that were graduating stayed in Austin and got those high salaries and wages. And once they figured out how to keep them there, like that was the big jumping off point for Austin. Now in Jacksonville, we have some world-class universities downtown, which we love, and adding the University of Florida and the type of programs that they are going to focus on here. Think about what that does for jobs. Think about what that does for the talent base. Think about what that does for median incomes. And it's that flywheel.
Companies that want to use that talent base and that research.
Exactly. So I think this is one of, we'll look back and think about University of Florida coming here as one of the biggest things to ever happen in Jacksonville.
100% agree, man. I've told this story before. Like I was very involved in downtown development in Miami, economic development in Miami. We had money, we had companies, we had rich people that wanted to live there and like all this stuff. The thing that we would have killed for is a world-class institution, and they had to build it a different way, right? Like they ended up creating a whole nother ecosystem funded by a billionaire. The idea that we have the semiconductor master's program, coming here is just such like a nuclear reactor in the middle of the flywheel. That's going to make it spin. I think it's massive, and go Gators. The other thing, so that's EDS, right? What about meds? There is let me see, on the South Bank, Baptist Health is expanding its flagship campus with 123,000 square foot emergency tower featuring 100 patient rooms downtown. Add all this up, downtown employers are supporting 46,833 jobs. Do you see? I mentioned this downtown expansion in healthcare. What was your first reaction?
I read through this entire report, and I honestly didn't even write that down as a note. I didn't even know it was happening, to be honest. That tower, I didn't know. You learn something new every day.
Man, we talk a lot about it. We talk about the pillars of the Jacksonville economy, right? And we mentioned logistics, we mentioned healthcare, we mentioned finance, we mentioned fintech, we mentioned government, right? Like all very well balanced. And I feel like we don't talk enough about the healthcare, man.
We don't.
I was just telling you, I was in Nashville last week. I was riding around with a client, and we're driving around like Franklin, Tennessee, and he was telling me how it's become one of the richest counties in America because all of the flagship healthcare brands have come there, and it's become this like incubator of healthcare business models. And how impactful that is for high-paying jobs, for executive relocations, all these things that drive the real estate market. He was telling me that he's got houses. He's a property manager. He's got houses that rent between $10,000 and $14,000 a month.
Yeah, that was nuts when you told me that.
That's
crazy.
Nuts, and that's his sweet spot.
Wow.
Right? Like that's his sweet spot as he was describing it to me, which was epic. And healthcare is this driver of great jobs. It's this attractor of like innovation and people that come here. Like I have regular conversations with folks that are living in Jacksonville because of healthcare. Like people move here for that type of stuff, and it drives hospitality, and it drives so many other factors of the economy. It drives these workforce housing kind of like jobs, right? Like the nurses and the upkeep of the building and stuff like that, along with the like higher paying jobs as well, man. I think it's massive, and we've completely like taken our eye off the ball of that. Like that's happening in downtown too.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're bringing this up because I'm just thinking about my life and my community here, and the healthcare sector are the type of jobs that, the friends that we have in the community, I think probably 80% of them are in healthcare.
Yeah.
And then I think about other friends who specifically moved here because of health issues and wanted to be here because of access to the type of health care and technology and facilities that we have here that you just can't get anywhere else. We have the Mayo Clinic. We have these wonderful technologies. So it's, we haven't shed probably as much of a light on it as how big of a driver it is, and especially on the economic base. But it is a big deal here and something we're really proud of.
Eds and meds, baby.
Eds and meds.
Eds and meds. All right. Okay, cool. Now we're going into something slightly different, right? So that's all the investment and the job providers. Let's talk about livability. Downtown is transitioning from event-based to everyday livability. Downtown now logs 374,700 average weekly visits. That is a 9.8% year-over-year increase. And that's been driven a lot by this investment into upgrades of parks and infrastructure, 70 acres of parks, Riverwalk expansions, the Emerald Trail, McCoy's Creek restoration. Friendship Fountain alone averages 1,100 daily visitors. That blew my mind.
Me too.
And our walkability score right now in downtown is an 80, which is the most walkable neighborhood in Jacksonville already.
Do you know that, I looked this up, Friendship Fountain was the largest fountain in the entire world when it was opened in 1965?
Really?
How about that, huh?
That's cool.
Fun fact of the day.
Yeah.
There you go.
Your heart up, Bellagio.
There you go. The value of living here is being shown by resident population going up, and the value of stopping by and visiting and thinking of downtown as a destination is shown in things like the number of visits going up. I don't know if you mentioned, but I also wrote down that hotel nights booked and occupancy percentage are both up year over year over year. I think I looked at the stats from 2020 till now. So 2021, 2, 3, as we got back off of COVID, we're still going up.
Leading indicator of population growth because people travel somewhere before they decide to move here.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. So we had, I wrote this down. We had 7 new public parks opened in downtown. Downtown's only 3.9 square miles.
Yeah.
7 new beautiful public parks that are open here. We have 17 new retail openings that happened in 2024 and 2025. So think like restaurants and bars and other places to go and shop. And we have another 20 new retail openings that are under construction and announced that are happening, will be happening probably by the next time that the report comes out next year and whatnot. So I always just go back to value, right? People flock to value. And when you see some of these things happening, people are saying, hey, you know what? Jacksonville is a great place for me to live. Downtown Jacksonville is a great place for me to live. And now we're starting to become a better and better place for people to visit.
Yeah. When I see these weekly visits and dwell time, right? 207 average dwell time minutes. That's interesting. That's like website visit dwell time.
I never even
visit frequency of 3.8. I imagine this is what like in
times in a year, maybe
times in a year. Yeah. I keep thinking about what we talked about from the ULI report, right? Like this idea of going from an 8-hour downtown to a 16-hour downtown. And the fact that like an 8-hour downtown is a place that you just go, you work, you work in the downtown office, you go home. And as it starts to become more and more of a destination, people start to move there. Now it becomes a place where, 9 to 5 is open. And then from like 5 to 2, it's open because there is restaurants and public parks and clubs and, and pubs and experiences, right? Like the Van Gogh thing or whatever, right? And all the data and all the numbers that you've put together that show that when a city goes from an 8-hour downtown to a 16-hour downtown, there's an average jump in home price appreciation by like 80%, 89%, right? And like, to me, like all these numbers are just feeding that beast, like daily visits, population growth, all this type of stuff feels like, it's not a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like it's just something that we've been seeing and we've been talking about it, but it's a prophecy being fulfilled.
The cool thing is that this has been done a number of times now. So the model has been proven. It's been proven in places like Tampa and Austin and Nashville. If you want to go to the State of Downtown report for Austin, the last one that was published, right on the front of it, it said, we are now an 18-hour downtown. Right? Like Austin, whatever, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, set out to become an 18-hour downtown. And that was their tagline. Like, I can't wait until the first page of the Downtown Vision Report for Jacksonville says, we are now an 18-hour downtown, right? Like, this is where we're going. And then you see the model that followed, especially in Austin. We brought up the University of UT at Austin, like now we have the University of Florida here, and the list goes on and on and on. So it's really exciting. This is not the first time this has ever been done, which as investors who are investing in rental property surrounding downtown, we don't have to take as much risk. This is not a huge leap of faith, right? This is just happening surrounding the great economics of the investment decision.
The phrase, the path of progress, comes to mind here.
Like
this is the thing that you keep talking about, right? Like, invest in the path of progress. People sometimes think that's a school. People sometimes think that's a grocery store. They can be bright with those things, but like the biggest path of progress is this like urban center that attracts young people to live in, attracts retail, attracts high-paying employers. We're seeing in the data that we're the #1 corporate relocation city in America, second hottest job market, all this type of stuff, right? Like, everything we've been talking about the show is coming true. And, I think there's other downtowns. I don't know if I've ever seen this, right? But like, I imagine that you incentivize things with a carrot or a stick, right? And to me, when I look at these final numbers here that say how strong the residential sentiment is, right? Like, it says it right here. 91.6% of residents say they like or love living in downtown. 51.5% say downtown has improved since they got there. Top reasons residents choose downtown: walkability, convenience, urban lifestyle. These are the things that we started talking about 4 years ago of what it takes to bring successful millennials and successful kind of like workforce to an urban core. It's all coming true with the promise of this type of lifestyle, a place that you have walkable amenities, a riverfront, open spaces, and hospitality, events, and like things that are happening,
and
man.
Guys,
jobs.
I'm so glad you said that. Like, I'm experiencing this in real time right now. JWB is experiencing this in real time right now because, guys, we just moved.
Oh, that's right.
To our office location in downtown Jacksonville.
We're the only two people in this building.
We are. This is the old office, and the studio isn't ready in the new office yet, so we're still doing the show here from the old office. But like, I got to go and drive downtown and park in the parking garage and walk 5 minutes to the building and like walk around, and I'm looking at these beautiful buildings as I'm walking down, and I'm seeing people on the streets, and then I walk into the building, our downtown building. And guys, I can't wait to show you, Pablo and I can't wait to show you the downtown office when that's going to be a part of Summit. We're obviously going to go on a tour there. The building is incredible, but it's not just this incredible space that we have. It's like my entire team is like, man, we're looking out the window and we see the library and we see Riverfront Plaza and we see these other huge buildings, and we're talking about going out to lunch at Bellwether, which is right down the street, and it's all these things. So like, working downtown is like, it is so fun. I texted my wife. I was like, I'm loving everything about being here. That was yesterday, and today has been great too. So it is cool, not just to kind of, shout it from the rooftops that like other people will love this. It's like, I love this. And then when you come and see it, I'm sure you'll love it too.
I've said it for a long time. My wife is an architect. She's always gotten to work in these downtowns. And me, as someone who kind of came up through like a construction career, I've always just been in a trailer out in the middle of nowhere. I'm really excited for the studio to move downtown. And I want to have that walk, and I want to be amongst the building, right? Like, there's something magical about the Jacksonville downtown, which is like these historical buildings mixed with like getting infilled with this like new kind of like building stock and all the stuff that's happening, right? So really, really cool, man. This was a really fun report to review. Let's get into a couple of questions here.
Okay.
Denny Davies, the mystery man,
Heard it.
says, softball question here, Greg. How much of the future 18-hour downtown gains is accounted for in JWB's long-term projections on property evaluation sheets given to investors these days?
Mystery man, you are too kind, too kind. What the mystery man is asking about is on your pro formas, we project a certain property appreciation rate. And he's asking, well, are we future casting that based on what we know about downtown and the growth? Are we including that additional growth in our expectations for our pro formas? The answer is no. So when we think about expected property values and expected home price appreciation, we look backwards. So we look back over the last 40 years. How's Jacksonville's downtown been performing for the last 40 years, Pablo?
I would say for the majority of the 40 years, not great.
Underperforming. Underperforming.
Yeah.
We'll just call it what it is, right?
Yeah.
City of renderings, unrealized potential, right? 3,000 people living downtown for forever, right? So that's the type of home price appreciation that we are referencing. Now, at the same time, people love living in Jacksonville. Population overall has grown in Jacksonville. So we still have above average home price appreciation as a city and as an MSA here. But long story short, there is a lot of reason for upside when we think about what future home price appreciation should be over the next 5, 10, 15 years, even above what we project on our own pro formas, because we want to under-promise and over-deliver, and downtown is that under-promise and over-deliver type of event.
Great answer. So the answer, Denny David says, it's not shown.
That's right.
Okay.
Simple answer.
Good. I'm glad we
it's
got
not
that
shown.
point. I'm glad we got that point. GC. He had to call him GC because he's greatly concise. All right, Alex Diaz has a question. With all this growth in downtown, how are the JWB townhomes appreciating when compared to JWB single family rentals? Alex has came to the tour last year, saw the La Villa townhomes that you guys are developing. What's the comparison there?
Yeah, JWB is a part of bringing the first for sale townhomes to downtown Jacksonville in over 20 years. And so we saw that last year on the summit. You know, everything in Jacksonville has been about flat. As far as growth. So I don't have the exact numbers. Yeah, over the last year. Yeah. So everything's been about flat. So I would imagine it's been about the same.
About the same. There you go. I just saw, I shared a couple things in the group chat, in the Not Your Average Investor Secret Insider chat, of like these different hospitality concepts that are coming to downtown.
Yeah.
I saw like a couple blocks away from that. Remember when I went to Austin, I told you how I went to this like hi-fi bar? It was like a place that's optimized for listening to vinyl records.
Oh, yeah.
Opening something just like that, like a block away from.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Super cool.
Yeah.
This has been fun, man. I love this report. I love pouring through this stuff. Right, data plus perspective. Like it's like I feel getting to be in this seat over the last 5 years has given me a certain level of perspective that when I read these numbers, I'm really just seeing this like prophecy coming true, and things that have been foretold that intelligent actors have been acting upon, or that in like a win-win kind of like additive way. It's really cool to see a community coming together and to see this like vision of like when I first got here, they were just talking about like, hey, we needed an authority in downtown, somebody to like pull it all together and then set a master plan. And then now seeing this master plan get activated, seeing you guys be like total like buy-ins and catalysts for it and drivers for it. And then now these numbers coming to that, like we've been long predicting and long kind of like looking forward to seeing. And now it's like in this PDF right in front of my face and it looks awesome.
It's a special journey. My business partners and I and our company, we enjoy the process of seeing things early and then bringing other people along and bringing everybody up. It's got to be a win for everybody across the board. And if we think about where we are with downtown, we're getting close to that, right? I think the hardest part is behind us, right? Like we still have a lot of work to do as a downtown. We're not there. You'll see that when you come to Summit 2. You'll see the work we still have left to do. But the hardest part has been creating the vision, understanding it, and then executing the foundational parts. And you're building that flywheel like you talk about often, right? And that flywheel is starting to turn. So, and then everybody here just gets to indirectly benefit from it. Along with everybody in our community, we all get to benefit from it. And then us as investors, we don't have to take any additional risk. We just get to be a part of it when you make a good investment with JWB in the single family rental properties that surround downtown.
Cool. We got a hard question here that I know that you'd like to answer, GP.
Sweet.
Anonymous Attendee says, something I struggle with. Do you feel guilty about continuing to raise rents over time just because we can as investors?
You know what? I really appreciate that question. Thank you guys so much for asking the tougher questions. You know, I am really focused on a win across the board. And one thing that I realized early on is that there is a way for investors to win and residents or tenants to win and the community to win. And it comes down the path of median income growth. Better jobs, more jobs, and higher paying jobs is a path where everybody can win. Because if we think beyond just, that we don't want higher rents, what we have to realize is that if we can afford it, the other side of higher rents means higher quality of life.
Yep.
And so if we want higher quality of life, higher rents are a part of that. The key is, can we raise median incomes together? And so when we think about JWB's role and Pearl Square's role and what's going on in downtown, people are noticeably concerned about rents rising given the environment that we are. But our role is, how can we help the median income grow? If we can help median income grow, then everybody can win here. And if your median incomes are growing at a really high rate, then you can afford higher rents and you're better off for it because there's so many quality of life things that get better as well. So I hope that gives you a little bit of insight into how committed we are to raising median incomes.
Yeah, and I think, I think the easy answer to that is like, well, if I don't do it, someone else is going to do it. And I feel pretty good about the idea that that's not the default position here, right? Like I think of the other side of it, right? Like, is it just because we can, or is it, like when I think of rent control, for example, right?
Mhm.
Like you see that if you institute rent control, then people stop taking care of business, stop taking care of the houses, the housing becomes dilapidated, right? Like I think there's like a really fine balance of like a healthy ecosystem, which in business it's called a market, right? But like to me, it's just ecosystem, right? That's just how nature works.
Right.
And there is a really fine balance of like needing to keep up a certain standard in order for places to feel like a place that people want to belong to and live in. And it feels like the philosophy here at JWB starts with this idea of like median income. But when it comes down to like the blocking and tackling of it, I think long-term leases play a lot into it as well, right? Like this idea that you offer residents a 2 or 3 year extension, which means we're not going to really raise it as much as we could just because we can.
Right.
We're going to like incentivize long-term behavior and consistency and staying, right? Like I think it's a really, really fine balance to keep that ecosystem alive, right? Like not enough oxygen in the system, the ecosystem dies. Too much oxygen in the system, everybody gets high, right? Like so it's like how do you kind of like keep that? I think it comes with long-term thinking. I think it comes with win-win thinking. And this is one way to do that I think makes a city better, man. I've never seen a developer that is so invested in their city that's doing the type of stuff that you guys are doing.
Yeah.
From the ground to the top of a skyrise.
I mean, we care so deeply about affordability, right? On the rent side, right? Holding rents consistent. When you sign a long-term lease, holding rents consistent is one thing we do. But we're the only property management company that I've ever heard of that pays our residents to become homeowners. A paying resident for us is a client for us. Like, what property management company is going to pay their client to not be their client anymore? Which is, somebody doesn't need to rent when they become a homeowner. And so we're deeply committed to that, so much that we created the Home Step program, which is where residents earn $100 a month when they fulfill the obligations of a lease, up to $3,600 that they get to now become a homeowner. And that's not the only thing that they get. They get matched with JWB Realty Services. So we're able to help our residents become homeowners. We had 18 last year that became homeowners. Do you know the average homeowner, how much they spent in order to become, let me start over. 17 out of our 18 homeowners last year brought $0 to the table. I think the one person who brought some money to the table was like a few $100s. So we're able to match with all of the city, and it's all to help with the affordable housing crisis. JWB Cares, our charity, the mission of JWB Cares is to be a solution for affordable housing. And that's why we've helped 8 additional homeowners receive $20,000 grants to become homeowners. And you all are a part of that as your donations come. So our commitment to affordable housing is real. But you know what, if we take the approach of just rent controls or things like that, that may feel good today, but if you fast forward 10 years from now, we are all worse off.
Correct.
And so raising median incomes is a way that we can make things more affordable today. And 10 years from now, we can be way better off. And that's where our focus is.
Yeah. You know what I hear in all of this through line is, while many developers, landlords, whatever, ask, you know, how can we do the thing? You know, what we can raise rents because we can. You guys ask, what are the things we're not being asked to do that we can do that make that an equitable scenario?
Right.
And to me, that's the key, right? Like that's the key to the healthy ecosystem.
Right.
Very cool, man.
Yep.
Lee Bishop asks, when is the new studio going to be set up, ... for the summit?
You know, my business partner, Adam Riggle, has been doing an incredible job with getting our downtown office set up. And man, it's 66,000 square feet that we are moved in now. It's been incredible. I have not asked him at all about the studio because I'm not trying to apply any additional pressure. The word on the street is within a couple of months, the studio is going to be set up. So Pablo and I will probably be here for a couple of months. However,
it'll be ready enough for like a selfie on there.
Yeah, we're going to try to make it as selfie applicable as possible for the summit. So it's a part of the tour that we're going to have on Summit.
Get to see it.
I haven't even seen it since it's been just like a pile of construction rubble.
It's in the basement. Like it's like a cool.
Oh, it's going to be so cool.
Yeah, it's like a speakeasy.
Yeah.
Meets Studio 54.
I don't know.
Flash, the grotto.
Definitely. Everything that's what I asked for the studio. And it's definitely going to be delivered just like that. But no, for the studio, for the summit, we're going to take you guys down there. I don't know what condition it'll be in, but it's going to be something that we are all really proud of once we're in there.
Yeah. Benjamin Allman asks an interesting clarification. I mentioned this idea of rent control kind of like incentivizing bad behavior. He's asking, are you saying rent control doesn't encourage folks to take good care of their homes? Interesting thought. I feel like that's a conversation we've had, and I'm making the assumption that there's been a bunch of data out there that basically shows that rent control leads to kind of like slumlord type of behavior. Can you shed a little bit more?
Well, yeah, just think about it from the investor's perspective, right? If no matter how much amenities I put into a building and no matter how much I pay for a wonderful living experience for the tenant, my rent is going to be here. You don't have a financial incentive to do those things. So if rent controls happen, all of a sudden, when something breaks, the mentality of the investor is not, how do I create the most value so that resident is going to, in essence, be able to pay more rent or renew their lease going forward. My incentive as an investor now becomes, how do I spend the least to repair my property? How do I keep expenses as low as possible because there is a ceiling to my rent? And so, yeah, it has been proven. There have been studies over and over and over that rent controls do not create sustainable long-term growth for the renting community, growth in terms of quality of the construction and quality of the experience. And of course, rents stay fixed. So there's a lack of investment incentive there. So that's really what I was trying to shed a light on. If we want to get to better outcomes 10 years down the line for everybody here in Jacksonville, we have to focus on median income growth. And that's why, as a country and as our leadership here in Jacksonville, and we as a part of the private sector, we are doing as much as we can to raise median incomes because it's a place where everybody can win.
Healthy ecosystem. Mike Foster has a question. Any possibility of round trip bus ride from old office to the new one each day of the summit to help avoid an extra 100 people looking for downtown parking? I don't think you don't have to come to the old office, right? Like everything is going to be in the new office.
Everything is going to be in the new office.
The only thing that's not in the new office is the studio.
That's right. That's right.
Is the live production studio. But right now, JWB's team is working out of the new office.
Yes.
Like we're the only 2 people in this building.
Yes.
So no need for that, Mike. We're all just going to be in downtown. It's going to be awesome, man.
Exactly.
Again, GC, no more questions, right? Because I've tried to end the show now like 3 times. This was awesome, man. This was awesome. I love doing this stuff with you. I love the type of content where it's like we bring a report and we just kind of like dice it out together because I have my own thoughts, you have your own thoughts. This has been super, super like interactive with the community, which I really, really like. I love the idea that we get to go walk this report in a couple of weeks here at the Not Your Average Investor Summit. 20 days away, less than like 18 days away.
Oh,
I forgot
man.
what Vinny's last promotion.
She'll have to put another one together.
About 18 days away, something like that, right? The 20th. Really, really excited for the community to get together and rally around all this stuff, man.
Downtown Vision is so in lockstep with you and me. They produced this report towards the end of the year, and then we get ready to share it right before Summit every single year. What a great teaser, appetizer, for what we're all going to experience as a part of Summit. I can't wait. Pablo and I were just talking about this, like. This summit is going to be the very best yet, and there's a lot of hard work going on behind the scenes to make this a wonderful experience for you guys. So there's a component there, but it's you guys, it's the community, which is bigger and better and has better and closer bonds this year, and then it's the backdrop of Jacksonville, and it's like this is the year where I get to like look at you guys and we get to, give each other a hug and say, hey, remember 2 years ago, 3 years ago when we said that something was going to be there? Look, Greg, now there's something there, So it's just a huge team win for all of us here in the community. Couldn't be more excited to see you guys.
Speaking of excited, next week, old Excel World Championships guy over here, GC.
I got something for you.
Developed a brand new tool, and it's essentially... I'm not going to do this.
Take this.
It's like we talk about properties having babies. It's like the ultrasound of seeing the baby, of seeing the property baby. You have figured out a way to visualize like how the mechanics work. Inspired by Saran's show. Yes. Like we really want to show this story of how this works and how, that moment when your property is about to have a baby and you're like 9 months pregnant, you're really uncomfortable. How it shows, really the change in cash flow from one moment to the other, the change in growth, the change in trajectory of what it does. And we're going to use the ultrasound.
Right on you.
On me. On me.
This is
feel those kicks.
Such a good vision.
Those kicks. He's got to be a fucking man. Yeah. So we're gonna go into my portfolio and we're gonna showcase Gregg's new tool, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna end up buying a property before the end of the show.
What do you know? You're gonna have a baby.
A live delivery of a baby. So it's going to be a great show next week. I want to thank the community. We had 70 plus people today to like go over this downtown report. Super, super fun. This thing works because you show up every single week to, get educated on real estate, to connect with each other more than anything, give us the feedback that we need. And couldn't do it without you. Until we see each other again, one last piece of advice. GC, what is it?
Don't be average.